So if you know me, one of my favorite genres is horror, but I've been in kind of a horror slump recently because most of the horror movies I watch haven't been that great. The last horror movie I saw that I really enjoyed was I Saw the TV Glow, so do with that information as you will. But recently I read something that reinterested me in horror, and that is The Keep. Also, yes, the cover did get messed up a bit. My dog ate this a couple years ago. Fly high. The Keep is a horror novel by F. Paul Wilson, and it is absolutely awesome. I cannot recommend this novel enough. If you like horror, if you like historical stuff, you will love this novel. It's set in 1941 Romania, where Nazis have gone to occupy the Keep and discover an ancient evil waiting there. If you thought that sounds like a vampire novel, well, that's because it is. Well, kind of. It's kind of hard to talk about the whole story without going to spoilers, but I'll do the best I can. It has some great characterization for the characters. All of them have their different little motivations. Themes of the horrors of World War II and how they relate to what's going on in the Keep is some amazing, amazing writing, and I love it. This is also allegedly the start of a very expansive cinematic universe of like 23 or something horror novels, all by this guy, with this guy called like Repairman Jack or something. I don't know what's going on with that, but I will read the next one in due time. But now I'll be talking about spoilers a bit. Essentially, this Nazi commander who is disillusioned with the current Nazi party is assigned to the Keep, goes to it. It's super weird. There's all these almost crosses on the wall. Nobody knows who built the Keep. Nobody knows what it's doing here. But maybe it has treasure inside. That's what they think. And some of them Germans mine through the wall and they unleash the evil. It starts killing them one by one, and it's awesome. And the commander, Vermin, he requests for help, and he gets an SS officer deployed there who is super bad, the worst of the worst. But men keep dying. The SS officer can't do anything, so they call in a historian who is Jewish. Oh no, so they don't like him. And this is when the novel really takes form and becomes super engaging. You have this Jewish historian being held hostage by these Nazis. One of them isn't so sure of what they're doing. One of them is super evil. And you have the daughter, Ava, who just wants to protect her father. And it leads to this incredible amount of tension and dynamic between all the characters. It's super engaging. I love it. Later on, we learn that this guy's a vampire, but wait, actually, he's not a vampire. He's actually the incarnation of evil itself. No, he's not Henry Winters from The Secret History, but he's from the First Age and part of like a cosmic horror, and that's when the novel kind of loses the rails in the end, because turns out the person who built the Keep was the embodiment of good, this red-haired guy named Glenn, and he shows up with a sword and he kills the embodiment of evil. So that's what's really cool about this book. It starts off as a vampire book, but then it slowly descends into being about this cosmic horror, about this fight between good and evil, and that's not at all what I was expecting when I went into this, so that was pretty cool to see. And it doesn't feel like it cheated you either. There's signs of things being weird, of things being wrong. There's tons of inconsistencies with the vampire himself. So when you find out he's pretending to be a vampire for the love of the game so he can take advantage of all the terrible things the Nazis are doing to feed off, you're like, oh, that actually makes sense, and that's kind of cool. And the reveals that happen later on of there's these sounds going on at night, there's these scraping, and then you find out it's the reanimated corpses of the Nazi soldiers digging to find like a hilt that is keeping the vampire guy, not a vampire, trapped inside. And that's just, it's a cool reveal. It's cool. I also really love the character arc of the father, Kuza, the way he's a broken old man, broken down by disease, and then he goes to the Keep and it reinvigorates him. And then the vampire dude promises him all these things, and he's like, I'm gonna kill Hitler. And the Kuza dude is like, that sounds like a great idea. I see you going through walls and killing people. Why don't you kill Hitler? That's a good idea. Turns out the vampire dude is not actually gonna kill Hitler, and he's gonna do a lot of terrible things. So then Kuza redeems himself, and in the end he dies, and it's very tragic, but it's also very fitting for his character. The daughter as well, I really enjoyed her character. Throughout the novel, she comes into her own because she's been taking care of her father her entire life, and now she's almost becoming independent. I also really enjoyed the character of Vermin. My main complaint with this book is that I wish he was in more of it, because he's in the first third quite a bit, but then he slowly isn't in it, and then at the end, he's just not really in it that much. But that leads to my favorite sequence in the book, which is Vermin goes downstairs to investigate the scraping noise. He sees the dead Nazi soldiers scraping away at the floor. He's horrified. He leaves, but then he's attacked, and he's strung up, hanged, and we see that he's still conscious despite being hanged. And then his enemy, the SS officer, finds him hanged, and Vermin's animated corpse then strangles the SS officer to death. And it's foreshadowed earlier because Vermin has been painting, and one of the things on his painting looks like the silhouette of a hanging man that he didn't intend for it to be there. So it turns out that was foreshadowing his own demise. That was my favorite part of the book, easily. That was a super cool sequence. So minor complaint, along with Vermin just not being in the last half a lot. I think the ending might have just gone too far into the fantastical, where I was like, okay, maybe I preferred it when it was like actually a vampire versus Nazis thing. But it gets to this point where it's like, it's literally the embodiment of good fighting the embodiment of evil, and it's like, maybe I need to read the other like Repairman Jack books to really get in on it, and then I'll appreciate it more. But yeah, I would still highly, highly recommend this novel. I thought it was amazingly written, very engaging, very nice horror action novel. There was also a movie made of this in the 1980s, and it is insane. If you actually look into the production of the movie, apparently a 3-hour version was shot, but it was cut down to an hour and a half. So the movie itself is all over the place. If you didn't read the book, the movie would make no sense because there's no cohesion among anything. But I still kind of enjoyed it. There's some cool effects. There's some good sequences in the movie, but overall, it's obviously not a very good adaptation. There's one sequence in particular where the first soldier dies by being decapitated, and the other soldier is dragging his feet out of the crawl space he crawled into. And that was an absolutely amazing part of that movie. But yeah, the rest of the movie is kind of weird and doesn't really follow the novel that well. There's also a graphic novel adaptation that I cannot find for the life of me. I guess I'm going to have to order it on like eBay or something. Apparently that's more so what the movie was meant to be, so I would like to read that at some point. I will give The Keep a 9 out of 10. I would highly recommend it, but there are some minor complaints I have, minor nitpicks. The next book and the next video will be Morning Star. We're back on Red Rising, of course.